Jack Harrison's calloused hands worked quickly in the rain, changing the flat tire as his daughter Emma held an umbrella over them both. The stranded woman's gentle "thank you" stopped him cold. Something in her voice echoed through 15 years of memories. He looked up, meeting familiar brown eyes that once held his whole world, now framed by elegant glasses and success. She was no longer the small-town dreamer he'd loved. She was Alexandra Chen, the tech visionary whose face graced magazine covers. Their paths had diverged so completely, yet here they were, brought together by a simple, flat tire. Could fate be offering them both a second chance at their greatest what if? Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The windshield wipers kept steady rhythm as Jack drove home, his mind replaying the moment over and over. Emma's small voice broke through his thoughts. "Daddy, that lady looked at you funny, like how Mrs. Peterson looks at her cat videos." A chuckle escaped him despite the tornado of emotions churning inside. "That lady, I knew her a long time ago. Pumpkin." Later that night, after tucking Emma into bed with 2 stories and exactly 3 goodnight kisses, their nightly ritual since losing Sarah, Jack found himself in the attic. The old cardboard box was right where he'd left it 5 years ago, when they'd moved into the little house on Maple Street. Inside, beneath faded letters and ticket stubs, lay his senior yearbook. The spine cracked as he opened it, releasing the musty scent of memories. His fingers traced the familiar path to her photo, Alexandra Chen, class of 2008. She smiled up at him from the glossy page, already wearing the determined expression that would one day grace Forbes magazine. But Jack remembered a different smile, the one she'd saved just for him. He turned to the back pages, where messages from classmates filled the margins. There, in neat handwriting that somehow managed to be both precise and playful, "Jack, thank you for making senior year magical. Remember me when you're fixing luxury cars instead of my dad's old Civic. Dreams don't expire. They just need a little tune-up sometimes. Love always, Alex." Below her signature, she'd drawn a tiny wrench with wings. "Dreams don't expire," Jack muttered, running a hand through his graying hair. At 43, he owned the most respected independent auto shop in 3 counties. But it wasn't quite the luxury car service she'd imagined for him, just honest work that let him give Emma a stable life after Sarah passed. His phone buzzed. Emma's babysitter for tomorrow had cancelled. Again. Being a single dad meant constantly juggling, constantly apologizing to clients when life got in the way. He thought of Alexandra's perfectly tailored suit, the quiet confidence in her stance. She'd achieved everything she'd dreamed of back then. He was about to close the yearbook when something slipped from between its pages, a photograph he'd forgotten existed. Homecoming dance, senior year. Alexandra in a blue dress that matched, the ribbon in her hair, laughing as he twirled her. They'd been so young, so sure that love could conquer anything, even their family's expectations. "Daddy," Emma stood in the attic doorway clutching her stuffed penguin. "I had a bad dream." Jack quickly wiped the moisture from his eyes. "Come. Here, Pumpkin." She crawled into his lap, her small fingers reaching for the photograph. "Is that you? You look funny without your beard." "That's me. And that's Alexandra, the lady from today." Emma studied the photo intently. She was pretty. She's still pretty. She paused, thinking, why didn't you stay friends? The question hit him like a physical blow. How could he explain to a 7-year-old that sometimes love wasn't enough? That her grandparents had already arranged her future with a suitable Chinese-American boy headed to medical school, while he was just a mechanic's son with grease under his nails? Sometimes people take different paths, sweetheart, but that doesn't mean they stop caring about each other. Emma nodded sagely, as if this made perfect sense. Like how I still love Rosie even though she moved to Florida. Something like that. Jack hugged her close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. Now back to bed, young lady. After tucking Emma in again, Jack returned to the attic. His laptop was still open to the search results for Alexandra Chen, CEO. Articles praised her leadership of Chentech Solutions, her innovations in sustainable energy, her dedication to bringing technology education to underprivileged communities. One recent photo showed her at a charity gala, wearing a blue dress that made his heart stop, same color as Homecoming. She'd caught the photographer mid-laugh, her head thrown back just like in their old photograph. 15 years had only made. Her more beautiful had added character to her face and purpose to her bearing. His cursor hovered over the contact button on Chentech's website. But what would he even say? "Hey, remember me? The guy who let you go without a fight?" Jack closed. The laptop. Tomorrow he had engines to repair and a daughter to raise. The past was better left in that box in the attic, along with all those other dreams that had expired despite her hopeful words. Morning light streamed through the shop's windows, catching dust motes and the chrome finish of waiting vehicles. Jack pulled into his usual spot, Emma chattering about her upcoming science project. "And Mrs. Rivera says we can use real batteries and wires and everything. But I want to do something bigger, Daddy. Something that helps people. That's my girl." He helped her out of the truck, her Pokemon backpack nearly as big as she was. "Ready for another exciting day at Miss Linda's?" The familiar roar of engines and clang of tools filled the air as his crew started their morning routine. But something was different. A sleek black Tesla sat in the customer parking area, looking entirely out of place among the usual pickup trucks and family sedans. "Good morning, Jack." He turned to find Alexandra leaning against the shop's entrance, 2 coffee cups in hand. Gone was yesterday's business suit, replaced by elegant casual wear that probably cost more than his monthly mortgage. But her smile, that was exactly the same. Alexandra, what brings you here?" She held out one of the coffees. "Black, 2 sugars. You still take it that way?" The fact that she remembered made something twist in his chest. "I do." Daddy. Emma tugged at his sleeve. "Is this your friend from the picture?" Alexandra's eyes softened as she knelt to Emma's level. "Hi there. I'm Alexandra, and you must be Emma. Your dad helped me yesterday when my car had a flat tire. He's the best at fixing cars," Emma declared proudly. "He can fix anything." "I believe that." Alexandra's gaze met Jack's. "He always could." Linda's ancient Volkswagen Bug pulled into the lot, honking its familiar greeting. Emma gave Jack a quick hug before running to meet her babysitter, her backpack bouncing with each step. "She's beautiful, Jack. She has your eyes, and her mother's spirit." He took a sip of coffee, perfectly made. "So what really brings the CEO of Chentech Solutions to my humble shop?" Alexandra pulled a business card from her pocket, turning it over in her hands. "Would you believe coincidence? After yesterday? I'm not sure I believe in coincidence anymore. Neither do I." She handed him the card. On the back she'd written a phone number in that same neat handwriting from the yearbook. My personal cell, not my assistant's line, not my office, just me. Their fingers brushed as he took it, and for a moment they were 17 again, exchanging notes between classes. "I have a proposition for you, Jack." "A business one?" she added quickly. "Chentech is launching a new initiative. We're developing AI-enhanced diagnostic tools for auto repair, but we need partners who understand the real-world application, shops with experience, integrity, and—" She glanced at Emma's retreating form. "Heart." Jack studied the card, the embossed letters catching the morning light. "Why me? There must be hundreds of shops better equipped for something like that." "Because I trust you." The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. "And because you're still the best mechanic I know," a laugh escaped him. "You haven't seen me work in 15 years. "No, but I did my research. Your customer reviews are impressive. Best shop in the state. Would trust him with my life. Fixed what 3 other shops couldn't," she smiled. "The Jack Harrison I knew would never give less than his best. I'm glad to see that hasn't changed." The morning bustle of the shop faded into background noise as Jack processed her words. This could be huge for his business, for Emma's future. But working with Alexandra, I'll need time to think about it. Of course. She reached into her bag, pulling out a tablet. The full proposal is on here. Take your time. Review it carefully. My board wants an answer by the end of the week, but... She paused, something vulnerable flickering across her face. I convinced them to give you an extension if you need it. Their eyes met, and suddenly the years between them seemed both vast and insignificant. She'd crossed oceans of time and success to stand here, offering him a bridge between their worlds. Thank you, he said softly, for remembering how I take my coffee. She turned to leave, then stopped. Emma's science project, what is she planning? Something that helps people, she says, though she's not sure how yet. Alexandra's smile widened. Maybe I could help with that too, if you're both interested. As she walked to her car, Jack looked down at the business card again. Below her number, she'd added a tiny drawing of a wrench with wings. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Jack sat at his kitchen table with Alexandra's tablet. The Chentech newsletter's headline caught his eye. CEO Alexandra Chen revolutionizes auto repair with AI integration. Her photo showed her standing in a state-of-the-art facility surrounded by touch screens and robotics that made his shop look like something from the Stone Age. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister Karen. Why didn't you tell me, Alexandra? Chen was back? Linda says she saw her at your shop. Small towns. He should have known the news would spread fast. The newsletter detailed Alexandra's vision. By combining artificial intelligence with human expertise, we're not replacing mechanics, we're empowering them. The words were elegant, progressive, exactly what shareholders wanted to hear. But underneath he recognized her voice, her passion for bringing people and technology together. His cursor hovered over her number in his phone. Instead, he opened his laptop and typed Alexandra Chen interview into the search bar. Videos filled the screen. Alexandra at tech conferences, on business news shows, accepting innovation awards. The future of technology isn't about replacing human connection, she said in one clip. It's about enhancing it. Every advancement should bring us closer together, not push us apart. The kitchen felt suddenly small, his world narrow. While he'd been changing oil and fixing transmissions, she'd been changing the world. What could he possibly offer someone like her? His phone buzzed again. An unknown number. The coffee shop on Main still makes those chocolate croissants you loved. 7 a.m. tomorrow. Before he could respond, another message, to discuss the proposal, of course. Jack smiled despite himself. She remembered the croissants, too. Morning found him at their old table by the window, watching the door. She arrived exactly on time, just like in high school, when she'd tutored him in physics. I wasn't sure you'd come, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. Almost didn't. He pushed a chocolate croissant toward her. But then I remembered how you'd destroy these things during exam week. Her laugh was warm, genuine. Some things never change. She took a bite, closing her eyes in appreciation. Though I usually have to settle for fancy pastries in New York that don't taste half as good. Why me, Alex? Really? The question had kept him up half the night. Your company could partner with any major chain, get nationwide implementation. Immediately, she wiped a crumb from her lip, considering. Did you read the whole proposal? 3 times. Then you saw the community investment section, the apprenticeship program for local students, the scholarship fund. She leaned forward. I don't want just nationwide implementation. I want to prove that this technology can transform communities, not just corporations. And our little town is your test case. It's more than that. She pulled out her phone, showing him another article. Look at your reviews again. People trust you, Jack, not just with their cars, but with their stories, their lives. You've built something real here, something authentic. He thought of Mrs. Rodriguez, who brought tamales every time he fixed her ancient Corolla. Of Coach Phillips, who'd given Emma free swimming lessons in exchange for keeping the team bus running. Of countless neighbors who'd supported him after Sarah's death. It's not just business, Alexandra continued softly. It's family, community, the things that actually matter. She looked down at her coffee, things I might have lost sight of, chasing success. The morning light caught her face, and for a moment he saw both versions of her, the ambitious teenager who'd dreamed of changing the world, and the powerful woman who'd actually done it. But there was something else in her expression now. Loneliness, maybe, or regret. "What about your board?" he asked. "Won't they want faster results than a small-town pilot program can provide?" "Let me worry about the board." Her tone carried. "Years of boardroom battles won. I've earned the right to do this my way." "And what way is that?" She met his eyes. "The right way, not the easy way." His phone lit up with a text from Linda. "Emma's asking if she can show Alexandra her science project ideas. That girl's got matchmaking on the brain." Alexandra noticed his smile. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just—" He hesitated. "Emma's pretty, excited about your offer to help with her project. I meant that, you know, not just as a way to—" She gestured between them. "She's a remarkable girl, Jack. You've done an amazing job with her. We manage." He tried to keep his tone light. "Though sometimes I wish—" "What?" "That I could give her more. Opportunities, experiences, the kind of future you're building." Alexandra's hand moved across the table, stopping just short of his. "Maybe we could build it together." At his raised eyebrows, she added quickly, "The program, I mean. The future. Of the shop." But they both heard the echo of different possibilities in her words. Emma's kitchen table workspace looked like a mad scientist's lab had exploded. Colored markers, crumpled papers, and bits of wire surrounded her prized possession. A blue spiral notebook with genius ideas written in glitter pen on the cover. "And see, the solar panel connects here," she explained to Alexandra, who sat beside her, completely absorbed in the child's drawings. "Then the battery stores power for nighttime, so the shelter dogs always stay warm." Jack watched from the doorway, coffee mug in hand, struck by how natural they looked together. Alexandra had arrived in a casual sweater today, her usual corporate. Armor replaced by something softer, more familiar. "This is really impressive, Emma," Alexandra said, pointing to the blueprint. "You've thought about backup power, temperature regulation. These are concepts some of my engineers struggle with," Emma beamed. "Daddy taught me about circuits. He says understanding the basics helps you fix anything." "Your daddy's very smart." Alexandra caught Jack's eye over Emma's head. "Though I knew." "And that a long time ago." Emma flipped to a fresh page. "Can you show me how to make it better? Daddy says you're the smartest person he knows." Jack nearly choked on his coffee. I mean, it's okay, Jack." Alexandra's eyes danced with amusement. "I won't let it go to my head." She turned back to Emma. "Let's think about how we can make this even more efficient. What if we added a small computer to monitor the temperature?" For the next hour, Jack watched them work. Alexandra explained complex concepts in ways Emma could grasp, drawing little diagrams that made his daughter laugh with delight. The blueprint evolved, becoming something that bridged both their worlds, practical mechanics meeting cutting-edge technology. "Miss Alexandra," Emma asked during a break, her voice suddenly serious, "why didn't you and Daddy stay friends in the old days?" The question hung in the air like static before a storm. Alexandra's hand stilled on the paper. "Sometimes," she began carefully, "growing up means making hard choices, but that doesn't mean they're the right choices." "Like when I chose to wear my Halloween costume to school?" Emma asked. "And everyone laughed?" "Something like that." Alexandra's smile held a touch of sadness. "Though I think my mistake was bigger than wearing a costume at the wrong time." Jack cleared his throat. "Hey, Pumpkin, isn't it time for your dance class?" "Oh, no!" Emma jumped up, gathering her things. "I forgot, Miss Linda's waiting." As Jack helped Emma pack her dance bag, Alexandra studied the blueprint they'd created. Her fingers traced the careful lines, the merged innovations. "She has your intuition for mechanics," Alexandra said once Emma had rushed out with Linda, "and your heart for helping others. She has her mother's determination too." Jack sat across from her. "Once she sets her mind on something." "Sarah." Alexandra spoke the name softly. "Karen told me when I asked about you yesterday." "I'm so sorry, Jack." He nodded, the familiar ache in his chest, duller now, but still present. 5 years ago, cancer. It must have been incredibly hard. It was. Is. He gestured to Emma's blueprint. "But that little girl, she gives me purpose, a reason to keep going." Alexandra touched his hand briefly. "You've done amazingly with her. This project, Jack, she's trying to solve real problems, create real solutions, at 7 years old. Yeah, well, now she has 2 engineering minds to learn from." The words slipped out before he could catch them. Alexandra's eyes widened. "Slightly. I mean, if you're still willing to help with the project, no pressure if you're too busy with the company. I want to help." Her response came quickly, surely. "Both with this and the shop partnership, if you'll have me." Jack studied her face, seeing past the successful CEO to the girl who'd once helped him rebuild his first engine, who'd seen potential in him when everyone else saw just another grease monkey. "I have conditions," he said finally. "Name them. We start small, test the AI systems on basic diagnostics first, and my employees get full training, fair compensation for the extra skills." She was already nodding. "Of course. What else?" "Emma's project takes priority, even over the partnership." Alexandra's face softened. "I wouldn't have it any other way." As if on cue, Emma's blueprint caught a breeze from the window, dancing across the table between them. They both reached for it, hands meeting over the paper. Where their worlds had begun to merge, the contract sat between them on Jack's office desk, its legal language spelling out the future in careful clauses and subsections. Alexandra had brought her legal team's draft, but insisted on presenting it to Jack personally. "Full modernization of diagnostic equipment," she explained, flipping through the pages. "AI integration, staff training, cloud-based management systems. But you maintain complete ownership and operational control." Jack leaned back in his chair, scanning a paragraph about implementation timelines. Through his office window he could see his crew working, Mike under a Chevy, Rosa diagnosing an electrical issue, Tommy changing oil with the efficiency of youth. "What about my team?" he asked. "Some of them have been with me since I opened." "They're all covered." Alexandra pointed to a section titled Employee Retention and Development. "Full training, certification programs, salary adjustments to reflect new skills. No one loses their job to automation." The door burst open and Emma ran in, covered in paint from art class. "Daddy! Miss Alexandra! Look what I made!" She thrust a colourful drawing toward them, the dog shelter heating system they'd designed, reimagined through a child's eyes. Alexandra's complex technical additions had been transformed into rainbow-coloured swirls. "It's beautiful, Pumpkin," Jack said. "But what did we say about knocking?" "Sorry." Emma didn't look sorry at all. "But Miss Linda said Miss Alexandra was here again, and I wanted to show her." Alexandra accepted the drawing with appropriate solemnity. "This is exactly how engineering should look, full of colour and imagination. Can we work on it more today, please?" The adults exchanged glances over her head. "Actually," Alexandra said, "your dad and I need to finish some boring grown-up paperwork, but maybe tomorrow? Promise? Promise." After Linda whisked Emma away, Jack gestured to the contract. "You've thought of everything." "I try to." Alexandra straightened a paperclip. "Though some things still surprise me." "Like what?" "Like how quickly this feels familiar. Being here, working with you, seeing Emma's face light up when she solves a problem." She met his eyes. "I didn't expect that." The air in the small office grew thick with unspoken words. Jack cleared his throat. About the implementation schedule. A knock interrupted them. Rosa stood in the doorway, tablet in hand. Sorry, boss, but Mrs. Henderson's Mercedes is throwing new error codes. Nothing I've seen before. Perfect timing, Alexandra said, standing. Want to see what our diagnostic AI can do? The next hour passed in a blur of technology and tradition. Alexandra's tablet connected to the Mercedes computer, while Jack and Rosa used their standard diagnostic tools. The AI spotted a rare combination of issues that would have taken hours to identify manually. That's impressive, Rosa admitted, studying the detailed system analysis. It's just a tool, Alexandra explained. Like any other in your toolbox, the real skill is knowing how to use the information. Jack watched her interact with his team, answering questions, addressing concerns. She'd shed her corporate demeanor, speaking their language of talk and timing chains. This was the Alex he remembered. Brilliant but approachable, able to explain complex ideas without condescension. Your people are amazing, she said later back in his office. They really care about doing things right. They're family. Jack picked up a pen, turning it over in his hands. Which is why this decision is so important. I know. She touched the contract lightly. Take all the time you need. Actually, he uncapped the pen. I don't need more time. Her eyebrows rose as he began signing pages. Are you sure? Emma's project showed me something. He smiled. Sometimes the best solutions come from combining the old and the new. Experience and innovation. Heart and technology. Jack. Her voice was soft. This isn't just about the shop, is it? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. A text from Karen. Town council's buzzing about Chen Tech coming to town. Chen family's not happy. Called your shop unsuitable. Watch your back, big brother. He set the phone down carefully, but not before Alexandra caught his expression. What's wrong? Nothing. He forced a smile. Just town gossip. But they both felt it, the past reaching out with ghostly fingers, threatening to complicate their carefully constructed present. Alexandra gathered the signed contract, her professional mask slipping back into place. I should get these to legal. We'll start. Implementation next week? Next week, he agreed, watching her withdraw behind invisible walls. Some barriers, it seemed, weren't so easily demolished by contracts and good intentions. The photograph sat on Emma's bedside table. Sarah in her favorite yellow sundress, laughing at something beyond the camera's frame. Jack adjusted it slightly. As he tucked Emma in, their nightly ritual unchanged, despite the day's chaos of equipment installations and training sessions. Daddy? Emma's small voice was thoughtful. Would Mommy like Miss Alexandra? The question caught him off guard. He sat on the edge of her bed, buying time to find the right words. I think she would, he said finally. Your mum always liked people who were smart and kind. Like you? Like you, he corrected, tapping her nose. Now sleep, pumpkin. Downstairs. His phone lit up with a message from Alexandra. Emergency board meeting tomorrow. They're questioning the partnership. Need to show them it's working. Any chance you can video call in? Before he could respond, another text arrived from Karen. Mum Chen cornered me at the grocery store. Asked if you were taking advantage of Alexandra's position. This is getting ugly, Jack. He sank into his armchair, Sarah's photo from Emma's room still in his hands. What would you do? He whispered to the smiling image. You were always better at handling family drama. His fingers traced the familiar curve of Sarah's cheek. She'd been gone 5 years, but sometimes the loss felt as fresh as yesterday. She'd fought so hard, stayed so strong for Emma. Even at the end, she'd made him promise to keep his heart open. There will be love after me, Jack Harrison, she'd insisted. Don't you dare hide from it. The doorbell's chime startled him from his memories. Alexandra stood on his porch, her usual corporate polish fractured by obvious distress. I'm sorry to come by so late, she said, but I couldn't do this over the phone. He led her to the kitchen, where Emma's science project materials still cluttered. The table, Alexandra picked up a crayon, turning it over in her hands. My parents haven't changed, she said quietly. They still think they know what's best for me, for the company, for our family's reputation. Alex, they're trying to force an emergency board vote to end the partnership. She met his eyes. They're calling it a sentimental mistake. Jack felt a familiar weight settle in his chest. Like us? Exactly like us. She set the crayon down carefully. But I'm not 17 anymore. I won't let them make my decisions. Even if it costs you? What costs me more? Her voice cracked slightly. Following their plans for my life? I did that once. Married the man they chose. Built the career they wanted. And yes, I've been successful, but... She trailed off, noticing the photograph in his hands. Is that... Sarah? He handed her the picture. Emma's been asking about you, about whether her mum would have liked you. Alexandra studied the photo, her expression soft. She looked so happy, so full of life. She was. Jack smiled at the memory. She used to say that love was like a good engine. It needs regular maintenance, but it's worth every minute of work. She sounds wonderful. She was. Jack took the photo back gently. She also would have kicked my butt for letting other people's opinions matter too much. Again. Alexandra's laugh held a hint of tears. I found my old diary last night, reading about us. Jack, I'm so sorry I didn't fight harder back then. We were kids, both scared of disappointing our families. And now... The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. Upstairs, Emma's nightlight cast a gentle glow down the hallway. Now I have her to think about, Jack said. Every decision I make affects her future. I know. Alexandra squared, her shoulders, which is why I'm not backing down this time. The partnership stays. My parents, the board, they'll have to understand that I'm not just their dutiful daughter anymore. What are you? She stood, gathering her resolve like a cloak. I'm the CEO who's going to revolutionize auto repair technology. I'm the woman who's helping a brilliant 7-year-old build a heating system for shelter dogs. And I'm someone who's tired of letting fear of disappointment rule my life. Jack watched her, seeing both versions of Alexandra. The young girl who'd walked away for her family's approval, and the woman now standing firm against their disapproval. The board meeting's at 9, she said. Will you speak to them, show them what we're building here? You mean the AI integration? Her eyes met his. I mean all of it. The technology, the community impact, the human element. Show them why this partnership matters. As she turned to leave, her gaze fell on Sarah's photo once more. Thank you, she said softly, for sharing her with me. After she left, Jack sat long into the night, looking between Sarah's picture and Alexandra's business card. 2 women, 2 loves, 2 different chapters of his life. Sarah's voice echoed in his memory. Don't you dare hide from it. I'm not hiding, he whispered to the quiet house. I'm just trying to get it right this time. The board meeting minutes glowed on Alexandra's tablet, each line a potential weapon. Present, Board of Directors. Chentech Solutions, subject, emergency review of small market initiative, concerns raised, risk assessment, resource allocation, conflict of interest. She sat in her temporary office, a converted storage room at Jack's shop, reading the summary. For the 10th time, the video call had gone better than expected, with Jack's straightforward expertise impressing several board members. But her parents' influence ran deep. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Jack stood in the doorway, coveralls stained with engine grease, looking somehow more real than anyone she'd seen in a corporate boardroom. The team's ready for the next training session, he said, though Mike's still grumbling about robots. Taking over. Not taking over, she corrected automatically. Enhancing. Yeah, well, tell that to his 30 years of diagnostic experience. She set down the tablet. Maybe you should. They trust you more than some CEO in a suit. About that. He stepped inside, closing the door. Your father called. Me. Alexandra's heart stopped. What? Very formal, very polite. Jack's expression was carefully neutral. Wanted to discuss appropriate compensation for ending the partnership early. He tried to buy you off? Her voice rose dangerously. Said it would be better for everyone if we stopped now. Before... He hesitated. Before what? Before history repeats itself. Alexandra stood so quickly her chair hit the wall. How dare he? After all these years, he still thinks he can control everything, everyone. Alex. Jack's voice was soft. Breathe. The familiar nickname, the gentle tone. They cut through her anger, leaving something more vulnerable exposed. I'm not that scared teenager anymore, she whispered. I built this company into what it is today. I've earned the right to make my own decisions. I know. He stepped closer. What do you need? The question was so simple, so direct. When was the last time anyone had asked her that? I need... She looked around the humble office at the mix of high-tech equipment and well-worn tools. I need them to see what I see here. The potential, the humanity, the way your team treats every customer like family. Then show them. She blinked. What? The quarterly shareholders meeting. It's next week, right? Don't just tell them about the partnership. Show them. Alexandra's mind raced with possibilities. A live demonstration, real-time integration of AI diagnostics with experienced human insight. Better, Jack smiled. Show them Emma's project. The shelter heating system. Think about it. A 7-year-old, combining classic engineering with cutting-edge technology, creating something that helps the community. Isn't that exactly what this partnership is about? Before she could respond, Rosa burst in. Boss, you need to see this! They followed her to the shop floor, where a crowd had gathered around the main diagnostic screen. The AI system was running a complex analysis on an old Volkswagen with Mike, skeptical, traditional Mike, pointing out patterns to the younger mechanics. See how it connects these sensor readings, he was saying. Took me 15 years to learn to spot that combination. With this, you can focus on understanding why it happens, not just memorizing symptoms. Alexandra grabbed Jack's arm. Are you seeing this? Looks like robots aren't taking over after all. His hand covered hers briefly. They're just giving us more time for the human part of the job. The moment was broken by Alexandra's phone. Another message from the board, marked urgent. Notice of emergency session, Ray. Leadership confidence vote proposed by board members. Chen. Her grip on Jack's arm tightened. They're trying to remove me as CEO. He turned to her. Shop noise fading to background. Can they do that? They can try. Years of boardroom battles steadied her voice. I own controlling shares, but a no-confidence vote would still damage the company, our stock price, this partnership. The partnership isn't worth your career, Alex. Isn't it? She showed him the board minutes. Look at their real concerns. Emotional decision-making. Personal entanglements affecting professional judgment. They're not just attacking the partnership. They're attacking my right to choose my own path. Jack read the document, his jaw tightening. This isn't about business at all, is it? It never was. She took back the tablet. 15 years ago, I let them separate us because I thought family duty mattered more than anything. I thought if I followed their plan, marriage, career, appearances, I'd eventually earn the right to my own choices. And now? She looked at the shop floor, where human experience and artificial intelligence worked in harmony. At Emma's project notes, pinned proudly to the bulletin board. At Jack's face, lined with years that should have been theirs to share. Now I'm done letting fear of disappointment shape my life. She straightened her shoulders. Will you help me fight this? His answer was interrupted by another urgent message. Board meeting moved up, vote scheduled. Tomorrow. 9 a.m. time, it seemed. Had run out. The Valley Times headline caught everyone's attention at the local diner. Local auto shop leads tech revolutions, mall town values. Meet Silicon Valley innovation below the headline. A photo showed Jack and his team working alongside Alexandra. their faces focused on a complex diagnostic display. The article had captured something genuine, not just the technology, but the people behind it. Third time someone's brought this. In today, Betty, the diner's owner, said as she refilled Jack's coffee. Community's proud of you, Jack Harrison. He smoothed the newspaper on the counter, reading passages he'd already memorized. Harrison's Auto Repair isn't just implementing new technology, it's revolutionizing how that technology serves the community. This isn't about replacing human expertise, says CEO Alexandra Chen. It's about giving skilled mechanics more time to do what they do best, helping people. The bell above the door chimed. Alexandra entered, looking battle-worn but determined. After her morning board call, "Thought I'd find you here," she said, sliding onto the stool beside him. "Emma's presentation is in an hour." Betty appeared with Alexandra's usual order, chocolate croissant and black coffee. "On the house, dear. That article got my Tommy interested in engineering. First time he's cared about anything besides his phone." After Betty moved away, Alexandra leaned closer to Jack. "The board's split. My parents are pushing hard, but some members are impressed by the community response. The press coverage helps. And the vote? Delayed pending further review." She managed a small smile. "Small victories." Jack handed her the newspaper. "Not so small. Look at the letters to the editor." She read aloud. "As a resident of 30 years, I've seen businesses come and go. But what's happening at Harrison's is different. It's progress that doesn't forget its roots. My grandfather was a mechanic. He would have loved seeing technology used to help people, not replace them." The diner's door chimed again. Mike entered, holding up his phone. "Boss, you need to see this. The AI caught something amazing." They followed him to the shop, where a complex diagnostic pattern filled the main screen. It identified a failure pattern in Mrs. Rodriguez's car, something that usually takes months to develop. "We caught it early, saved her engine, and probably thousands of dollars," Alexandra added. Mrs. Rodriguez herself appeared from the waiting area, enveloping them both in a fierce hug. "My hero mechanics, the old and the new, working together." As if on cue, Emma burst in with Linda, waving a paper wildly. "Daddy, Miss Alexandra, I got an A! Mrs. Rivera wants me to present my project at the science fair." The shop erupted in cheers. Rosa pinned Emma's grade next to the newspaper article on the bulletin board, a growing collage of their success story. "See?" Jack said quietly to Alexandra. "This is what they can't measure in board meetings. Community connection, real impact." She watched Emma excitedly explaining her project to Mrs. Rodriguez, who listened with genuine interest. "When I left for college, my father said small towns would hold me back, that I needed to think bigger. And now I realize that sometimes the biggest changes start small. One shop, one innovation, one life at a time." The newspaper rustled as customers entered, many carrying their own copies. The article had struck a chord. A story about progress that didn't require sacrificing humanity. Tommy, Betty's phone-obsessed son, approached Alexandra hesitantly. "Ms. Chen, would you maybe look at my science fair idea too? It's about using AI to help local farmers." Alexandra's face lit up. "Of course. Why don't you show me while Emma practices her presentation?" Jack watched them gather around the workbench, CEO, mechanics, customers, children, all excited about possibilities. The newspaper's headline caught the light. "Small-town values meet Silicon Valley innovation." But it was more than that. It was past meeting present, tradition embracing progress, and two people finally brave enough to choose their own path. His phone buzzed with a text from Karen. "Mom, Chen's at the grocery store again, telling everyone you're distracting Alexandra from real opportunities. But guess what? People are defending you, both of you." Another text followed. "Maybe love stories aren't just for teenagers. Maybe sometimes they need 15 years to get it right." He looked at Alexandra, now deeply engaged with both Emma and Tommy's projects, her corporate armor completely forgotten. She caught his eye and smiled, that same smile that had once made him believe anything was possible. Maybe it still was. The box of old letters had sat untouched in Alexandra's hotel room for days, shipped from her New York apartment, along with other personal items for her extended stay. She hadn't planned to open it. Some memories were better left undisturbed, but Emma's questions about the past had stirred something in her. Inside, beneath years of carefully preserved correspondence, lay an unopened envelope. Her hands trembled as she recognized Jack's handwriting. "Alex, I know you'll be leaving for Stanford tomorrow. Your father made it clear I shouldn't come to say goodbye. But there are things you need to know." The letter was dated the day after she'd left town. The day after her parents had convinced her that a clean break was kindest. She'd never known he'd written, "I won't ask you to choose me over your family's dreams. I love you too much for that. But I need you to know that where you come from doesn't define where you're going. Your brilliant mind, your kind heart, those belong to you, not to anyone's expectations." A knock at her door startled her. Jack stood there holding Emma's science project notes. "Sorry to bother you, but Emma insisted you needed these for tomorrow's—" He stopped, seeing the tears on her face. "Alex, what's wrong?" She held out the letter. "I never knew. All these years, I thought you'd accepted our parents' decision, that you'd agreed it was for the best." He took the letter, recognition flooding his features. "I drove to your house that night. Your father turned me away, said you'd already left for California. But I hadn't. I was upstairs, packing, believing. You'd chosen not to say goodbye." Emma's project notes slipped from his hand, scattering across the floor. As they both knelt to gather them, their fingers brushed over a page covered in Emma's careful drawings. "She's been asking about us," Jack said quietly. "Found an old photograph in Sarah's albums. You and me at graduation." Alexandra smiled through her tears. "Let me guess, she wants to know our story. She wants to know if we loved each other like in her fairy tales." "And what did you tell her?" "That sometimes grown-up love is complicated. That sometimes people have to take different paths to become who they're meant to be." Alexandra looked down at the letter, at the words written by a younger, braver Jack. "I thought following my parents' path would make me worthy of their dreams. Stanford, Harvard Business School, marriage to the right kind of man. Did it? I built something incredible with Chentech. I can't regret that." She met his eyes. "But my marriage? It was a business arrangement in everything but name. David, my ex-husband, he understood that. We parted as friends 2 years ago. You never mentioned. How do you casually bring up that you're divorced while helping a 7-year-old design a heating system for shelter dogs?" Despite the heaviness of the moment, they both laughed. The sound brought them back to summer evenings in his father's garage, planning futures that seemed both impossible and inevitable. "Alex," Jack picked up the scattered project notes. "We can't go back. I know." She touched the letter gently. "But maybe we needed those years to become people strong enough to make our own choices, like helping your parents' company revolutionize auto repair through a small-town partnership they hate." Her smile turned mischievous. "Exactly like that." She rose, moving to her laptop. "Speaking of which, look at these messages from other independent shops. They've seen the article. They want to know if we'll expand the program." Jack read over her shoulder, his presence warm and solid behind her. "Your board might like this. Real market validation. It's more than that." She pulled up Emma's project. "Presentation. Look at her design, simple, practical, but innovative, just like what we're doing with the shops, starting small, making a real difference. Before conquering the world, before helping the world." She turned to face him. "That's what I couldn't see 15 years ago. Success doesn't have to mean leaving everything behind. Sometimes it means bringing the best of both worlds together." The letter lay between them, its long-hidden words finally finding their way home. Outside, the small town continued its evening. Routine, Betty closing up the diner, Mrs. Rodriguez walking her dog, Tommy excitedly telling anyone who'd listen about his AI farming project. "Emma wants you to come to dinner," Jack said suddenly. "She's making spaghetti. Well, she's helping Linda make spaghetti." "Jack, just dinner. Just us. No parents, no board, no expectations." Alexandra looked at the letter once more, at all the years of silence and misunderstanding it represented, then at the future spreading out before them, full of possibilities they'd once thought lost. "Just us," she agreed. "That sounds perfect." The merger proposal lay open on Alexandra's desk like a loaded weapon. Global Tech Industries' offer was carefully worded, but its meaning was clear: surrender control or face a hostile takeover. "They're working with my parents," she explained to Jack as they sat in his office after hours. "Global Tech promises to maintain Chentech's core operations while streamlining inefficient initiatives, like our partnership." Jack's voice was quiet. "Like everything I've built that doesn't fit their corporate template." She ran a hand through her hair, exhaustion evident. "The board meets tomorrow. Final vote." The shop was silent except for the distant hum of the new diagnostic computers. Emma's science fair project, now complete with working prototype, sat. "Ready for tomorrow's presentation?" "I could walk away," Jack offered. "Tell them I'm ending the partnership. Save your position. Don't you dare." Alexandra's voice cracked. "Don't you dare sacrifice this again." A text lit up her phone. Her father, demanding she see reason before tomorrow's vote. Another followed from Global Tech's CEO offering a private conversation about your future role. "They think they have me cornered," she said, closing the merger document. "Just like before. Choose duty or choose me." Jack's attempt at a smile didn't reach his eyes. "Choose my own path. Choose what I know is right." She stood, pacing the small office. "The partnership's working, Jack. Not just here. Look at the data." She pulled up charts on her tablet. Diagnostic accuracy up 40%, repair times down, customer satisfaction soaring. More importantly, shops like Jack's were hiring, training local youth, rebuilding communities. It's everything I wanted Chentech to be. Technology serving people, not replacing them. Innovation with heart. The shop's bell rang unexpectedly. Emma burst in with Linda, tears streaming down her face. "They're saying mean things," she cried, running to Jack. "At school, Tommy's big brother said you're ruining everything, that Miss Alexandra's going away and the shop will close and—" "Shh, pumpkin!" Jack lifted her onto his lap. "Nobody's closing the shop." "Promise?" Her small face was fierce. "Promise Miss Alexandra won't leave like Mommy did." The adult's eyes met over Emma's head, years of loss and possibility hanging between them. "Emma," Alexandra said gently, kneeling beside them. "Sometimes grown-ups have to fight for what matters, like how you worked so hard on your science project even when it got difficult. But Travis said, his dad said you're too big and important for our town now." "Too big?" Alexandra laughed softly. "Want to know a secret? Everything important I've ever learned, I learned in small places. In your dad's garage, fixing cars. In Betty's diner, sharing stories. In this shop, watching you solve problems that my fancy engineers haven't even thought of yet." Emma sniffled. "Really? Really? And tomorrow, when you show everyone your shelter project, you're going to prove that the biggest ideas can come from the smallest towns." Jack watched them, his heart aching with familiar feelings he'd tried to keep buried. "Alex," she stood, decision crystallizing. "I need to make some calls. Emma, can I borrow your project presentation?" "But the science fair. Trust me, you'll have it back before then." She gathered her things, energy radiating from her. "Movements. Jack, remember that summer we rebuilt your dad's Mustang? Everyone said it was too far gone." "Yeah? What did we do?" A slow smile spread across his face. "We proved them wrong. Part by part." "Exactly." She bent to kiss Emma's forehead. "And that's exactly what we're going to do tomorrow." After she left, Emma looked up at Jack. "Daddy, is Miss Alexandra going to fight the mean people?" He thought of the Alexandra he'd known at 17, brilliant, determined, unstoppable when she believed in something, and of the woman she'd become, stronger now, tempered by experience, but still burning with that same inner fire. Yeah, Pumpkin, she is. He hugged her close. And this time, she's not fighting alone. His phone buzzed with a message from Alexandra. Meeting moved up. Board convenes at 8 a.m. Bring Emma and her project. Time to show them what real innovation looks like. Outside, storm clouds gathered over the small town. But for the first time in days, Jack felt hope rising. Sometimes the biggest battles weren't won in boardrooms or with merger proposals. Sometimes they were won with shelter dog heating systems, small-town mechanics, and the courage to finally choose your own path. Emma's diary lay open on the kitchen table, her careful second-grade handwriting filling the sparkly purple pages. Dear Diary, today is the most important day ever. Daddy and Miss Alexandra are fighting the mean people who want to stop them from helping everyone. I'm scared, but Mommy always said being brave means doing things even when you're scared. Miss Alexandra says my project will show them why small towns matter. I hope she's right. I don't want her to go away. The early morning sun was just breaking over the horizon as Jack read those words, waiting for Emma to finish getting ready. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn. From Karen. The diner's closed. Betty's coming to the board meeting. Says no one messes with our town's future. From Mike. Boss, whole crew's taking the morning off. We're coming too. Show them what real auto work looks like. From Rosa. Mrs. Rodriguez called everyone in her church group. They're all sharing the newspaper article online. Small town, big dreams is trending locally. A knock at the door revealed Linda, dressed more formally than he'd ever seen her. Ready to make history, Emma emerged from her room wearing her best dress, project notes clutched to her chest. Can we pick up Miss Alexandra first? But Alexandra was already pulling into their driveway, her usual corporate attire replaced by something that bridged both worlds, professional but approachable, powerful but personal. You look different, Emma observed. Alexandra knelt to straighten Emma's collar. Today I'm not dressing for the board, I'm dressing for us. They arrived at the local conference center where the board meeting would be held by video link to find the parking lot full. Betty's diner crew was setting up coffee and pastries. Mike and the shop team had parked their work trucks prominently. Lagos gleaming, Mrs. Rodriguez's church group stood holding signs. Innovation begins at home, and small towns, big hearts. What is all this? Alexandra whispered. Family, Jack answered simply. The real kind. Inside, the technical team was setting up the video link. Alexandra's parents' faces appeared on screen first, their disapproval radiating through digital space. Alexandra, her father began, this display is unnecessary. Actually, it's essential. She stepped into frame, Emma's project beside her. You want to talk about Chentech's future? Let's start with its heart. Over the next hour, something remarkable unfolded. Emma presented her shelter heating system, explaining how it combined Alexandra's tech insights with Jack's practical engineering. Betty spoke about how the shop's new program had inspired her son to consider trade school. Mike demonstrated how AI integration had helped him mentor younger mechanics. Mrs. Rodriguez raised her hand during the Q&A. My Eduardo, he left for the big city because he thought that's where innovation happens. Now he's asking about coming home, bringing his software skills back to help expand this program. One by one, board members' expressions shifted from skepticism to interest. Market, penetration through community integration, workforce development, public goodwill. The numbers told a story that even global tech couldn't ignore. Then Emma opened her diary. Dear Diary, she read, her voice small but clear. Miss Alexandra says sometimes the best ideas come from listening to your heart. Her company makes fancy computers, but she still helped me build something simple to keep dogs warm. Daddy says that's what love looks like, when smart and kind work together. Alexandra's mother's face softened almost imperceptibly. The merger proposal, Alexandra concluded, assumes bigger is better. But we're proving that better is better. One community, one innovation, one life at a time. The vote was unanimous. The merger rejected. The partnership program approved for expansion. As celebrations erupted around them, Jack found Alexandra, staring at her parents' screen. Her father's face was unreadable, but her mother— "Your father proposed to me in a small town," Mrs. Chen said suddenly. "He was going to be a doctor there before my parents insisted we move to the city." She touched her husband's arm. "Perhaps we forgot something important along the way." The screen went dark, leaving Alexandra stunned. Emma tugged at her hand. "Does this mean you're staying?" Alexandra looked at Jack, at the community gathered around them, at the future they were building together. "Yes," she said. "I'm staying. We have a lot more work to do." Emma added a final line to her diary. "Dear diary, today love one." And Daddy's smiling like he does in the old pictures with Miss Alexandra. Maybe fairy tales do come true, just slower sometimes. The patent application glowed on Alexandra's laptop screen. 2 names listed as co-inventors, Alexandra Chen and Jack Harrison. Integrated community-based automotive diagnostic system. "It's not just about the AI anymore," Alexandra explained, as they sat in his office after hours. "It's about how the technology adapts to each community's needs. The way your team modified the interface, the community feedback loop, it's revolutionary." Jack studied the technical drawings that had grown from their collaboration. What had started as a simple diagnostic system had evolved into something uniquely human, technology that learned from the communities it served. "Did you ever think," he asked, "when you were designing apps in my dad's garage, that we'd end up here, creating patents together instead of rebuilding engines?" She smiled. "Maybe the universe has a sense of humor." Emma's voice carried from the shop floor, where she was explaining her now famous shelter heating system to a group of visiting students. After its success at the board meeting, her project had become a symbol of their integrated approach to innovation. "And see," they heard her say, "the computer learns what the dogs like best, but the shelter people can change it too, because sometimes humans know better than computers." "She gets it," Alexandra said softly. "Better than most of my engineers. She gets a lot of things." Jack hesitated. "She asked me last night if you were going to be around for her science camp presentation next month." The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. Alexandra set down her tablet, turning to face him fully. "Jack, A knock interrupted them. Rosa stood in the doorway, grinning. "You need to see this." They followed her to the main shop area, where Mike was leading a training session, but instead of the usual technical walkthrough, he was showing younger mechanics how to combine the AI's insights with traditional diagnostic techniques. "See, the system flags these patterns," he explained, "but knowing what they mean, why they happen, that's where our experience matters. We're not just fixing cars anymore, we're teaching the AI, and it's teaching us." Alexandra gripped Jack's arm. "That's it. That's what the patent's missing." She rushed back to the office, fingers flying over the keyboard as she added a new section: Dynamic Knowledge Integration, a 2-way learning system between AI and human expertise. Jack watched her work, reminded of late nights in high school, when she'd get that same look of intense concentration. Some things hadn't changed at all. "There," she said finally. "Now it's not just about technology adapting to community needs. It's about communities shaping the technology itself. Like how a small town shaped a tech CEO," he teased. She looked up, her expression soft. "Exactly like that." Emma bounded in, excitement radiating from her. "Daddy! Miss Alexandra! Tommy's dad says they want to try our heating system at the farm. For the baby animals." The adults exchanged glances. Their innovation was already evolving beyond its original scope, guided by the community's needs and imagination. "Think bigger," Alexandra said, pulling Emma onto her lap. What if we created a whole program? Students designing technology to help their communities? Like a science fair, Emma suggested, but for helping people. Jack watched them brainstorm, their heads bent together over the patent documents. His phone buzzed with a message from Karen. Mom Chen called, wants to know if they can visit, see the program in action, meet Emma properly. Another message followed. Says she's sorry, about the past, about everything. Alexandra noticed his expression. Everything okay? He showed her the messages. Her hands trembled slightly as she read them. 15 years, she whispered. It took 15 years for them to see that their brilliant daughter knew her own heart. That success isn't measured in boardrooms. She looked around the shop, at the life they were building. It's measured in lives changed, in communities strengthened, in love, Emma asked innocently, making them both laugh. Yes, Pumpkin, Alexandra said, hugging her close. In love. The patent application waited on the screen, their names side by side. But the real innovation wasn't in the technical specifications or legal language. It was in the way they'd finally found their own definition of success, one that made room for both their dreams. Emma's family tree project spread across the dining room table, branches extending in all directions, photos, names, and carefully drawn lines created a map of belonging that made Alexandra's heart catch when she saw it. Mrs. Rivera says we can add important people even if they're not related by blood, Emma explained, carefully gluing a photo of Sarah in a central spot. So I put Mommy here, and Grandpa Joe, who taught Daddy about cars, and she pointed to a blank space near her own picture. I saved this spot, for you. Alexandra sat heavily in the nearest chair, emotion threatening to overwhelm her. Jack, watching from the doorway, stepped forward. Emma, he said gently, that's a big thing to ask someone. But she's family now, isn't she? She helps me with projects and makes you smile and knows all about cars like Grandpa Joe did. Before either adult could respond, the doorbell rang. Alexandra's parents stood on the porch looking both elegant and oddly uncertain. We thought, Mrs. Chen hesitated. You mentioned Emma's project presentation was today. Jack looked at Alexandra, who nodded slightly. He opened the door wider. Come in. She's just finishing the family tree assignment. Emma, innocent of the tension, brightened at new audience members. Want to see? I put everyone who matters in our family. Mr. Chen's eyes found the blank space near Emma's photo, then moved to his daughter's face. Something shifted in his stern expression. Alexandra, he said quietly in Mandarin, your mother and I visited your grandfather last week. Alexandra stiffened. Her grandfather, the family patriarch, had been the strongest voice against her relationship with Jack all those years ago. He saw the news about your program, about the community impact. Mrs. Chen touched her daughter's arm. He said, perhaps, we have forgotten that the Chen family itself started in a small shop with one man's dream of helping his community. Emma tugged at Mr. Chen's sleeve. Want to see my new project? Miss Alexandra and Daddy helped me make it better, to everyone's. Surprise, he knelt to her level. I would like that very much. As Emma led her impromptu audience through her presentation, Alexandra found herself adding her own parents to the growing pattern of connections on the family tree. Their names joined the constellation of people who had shaped her journey. Parents who had wanted the best for her, even when they disagreed on what that meant. Your grandfather wants to visit, her mother said later, as they watched Emma proudly demonstrate her shelter heating system. To see this partnership you've built. Jack, overhearing, touched Alexandra's shoulder. Partnership, he echoed softly. In all its forms. She covered his hand with hers, feeling the years of separation dissolve in the warmth of new possibilities. Emma's voice carried across the room. And this is where we're going to add more features. Miss Alexandra says we can make it work for all kinds of animals, and Daddy knows how to make it sturdy, and maybe we can help shelters everywhere. Mr. Chen studied the mechanical-electrical hybrid design. This is impressive. The integration of practical engineering with advanced monitoring systems. That's what Miss Alexandra and Daddy do best, Emma declared. They make old things and new things work together. The adults exchanged glances, acknowledging the deeper truth in her words. On the table, the family tree continued to grow. Blank, spaces filling with potential, branches reaching toward a future none of them had imagined possible. Perhaps, Mr. Chen said carefully, it is time for the Chen family to remember its own small-town roots and to recognize that legacy can grow in unexpected directions. Alexandra felt tears threaten as her father reached for the family tree, adding dates and details to their branch in his precise handwriting. Each stroke of his pen felt like acceptance, like bridges being rebuilt. Jack squeezed her hand, and she remembered his words from the patent application. Sometimes the best innovations come from honoring both tradition and progress, from letting the past inform the future without constraining it. Emma's project sat completed beside her family tree, two testaments to the power of connecting seemingly separate worlds, of building something new without forgetting where you came from. So, Emma asked, looking between all the adults with hopeful eyes, can I fill in that blank space now? The joint business proposal filled the screen of Jack's office computer. Community-centered innovation hubs, merging technology and tradition. But Alexandra wasn't looking at the document. She was watching Jack read the final section aloud. The old man took in the scene, his granddaughter and Jack sitting close, Emma visible through the window teaching other children, the shop humming. With the sound of progress, I had to see for myself, he said in Mandarin, the place that made my Alexandra choose a different path. Emma, spotting the visitors, bounded in. Are you Miss Alexandra's grandfather? Want to see what we're building? It's like the shelter project, but bigger. To everyone's surprise, the old man smiled. Yes, little one. Show me everything. They watched as Emma led both Chen men through the shop, explaining their integrated systems with the confidence of a born teacher. Mr. Chen's questions grew more engaged, more genuine, while his father's eyes took in every detail of the life Alexandra had chosen. You know, the elderly man said finally, turning to Alexandra, I started much like this, a small shop in Hong Kong wanting to help my community. He glanced at Jack. Everyone said I was foolish, that I should think bigger, but big dreams can grow from small beginnings. Jack's hand found Alexandra's under the desk. She gripped it tightly. By establishing innovation centers in small towns across the country, we create a network of community-driven technology development. Each center combines auto repair expertise with tech education, environmental solutions, and youth mentorship. It's us, she said softly. Everything we've built here, but scaled to help other communities, without losing what makes it special. Jack gestured through his office window, where Emma was teaching Tommy's coding club in the shop's new learning space. The human element. The proposal had grown organically from their success. Other towns had reached out after seeing their story, asking how they could replicate the model. It wasn't just about auto repair anymore. It was about revitalizing communities through the perfect blend of technology and tradition. Did you see page 12? Alexandra asked, reaching across him to scroll down. Their proximity sent a familiar warmth through them both. The scholarship program for students like Emma. The door opened before Jack could respond. Mr. Chen entered, followed by an elderly man whose presence made Alexandra catch her breath. Grandfather. The old man took in the scene, his granddaughter and Jack sitting close, Emma visible through the window teaching other children, the shop humming with the sound of progress. I had to see for myself, he said in Mandarin. The place that made my Alexandra choose a different path. Emma, spotting the visitors, bounded in. Are you Miss Alexandra's grandfather? Want to see what we're building? It's like the shelter project, but bigger. To everyone's surprise, the old man smiled. Yes, little one, show me everything. They watched as Emma led both Chen men through the shop, explaining their integrated systems with the confidence of a born teacher. Mr. Chen's questions grew more engaged, more genuine, while his father's eyes took in every detail of the life. Alexandra had chosen. You know, the elderly man said finally, turning to Alexandra, I started much like this, a small shop in Hong Kong, wanting to help my community. He glanced at Jack. Everyone said I was foolish, that I should think bigger, but big dreams can grow from small beginnings. Jack's hand found Alexandra's under the desk. She gripped it tightly. The proposal, her grandfather continued, gesturing at the screen. May I? They watched as he read, his expression thoughtful. Innovation hubs, community-driven development, environmental integration. He looked up. This is not just a business plan. This is a legacy. That's what we're hoping, Alexandra said. A way to help other communities build their own futures. While honoring their past, Jack added. The old man's eyes crinkled, like a certain stubborn girl who finally found her way home, even if home looked different than we expected. Emma returned with Mr. Chen, both of them excited about some new idea they'd developed. The sight of 3 generations of Chens working together here in Jack's shop made Alexandra's vision blur. Grandfather, she started, but he held up a hand. I was wrong, he said simply, about many things, but mostly about what makes a worthy legacy. He picked up Emma's latest project sketch. Sometimes the future needs both roots and wings. Mr. Chen cleared his throat. The board will want to review the proposal. The board, his father interrupted, will approve it, or they will hear from me about the true meaning of family business. As if on cue, Rosa burst in. Boss, the first satellite location just sent their trial data. The AI adaptation is working perfectly. They gathered around the screen, watching as their system learned from another community's needs, growing and evolving just as they had. Emma squeezed between the adults, pointing out patterns she recognized. See, they're teaching the computers, and the computers are teaching them, just like here. Alexandra's grandfather placed a hand on her shoulder. You understand this technology, little one? Miss Alexandra says understanding isn't just about knowing how things work, it's about knowing why they matter. The old man's eyes met Alexandra's. A wise teacher. She learned that lesson herself, it seems. Jack watched the interaction, seeing the pieces of Alexandra's world finally coming together. The proposal on screen represented more than business strategy. It was a blueprint for the future they'd both dreamed of, one where innovation served humanity rather than replacing it. So, Emma asked, practical as always, does this mean we're going to help more communities build cool things? Alexandra looked at Jack, at her family, at the life they were creating. Yes, she said, that's exactly what it means. And in that moment, surrounded by 3 generations of family, both chosen and born, they knew they'd finally found the perfect integration of all their dreams. The house key caught the morning light as Alexandra turned it over in her hand. Beside it on Jack's kitchen table lay the blueprints for the old Wilson property. A sprawling Victorian with a dedicated workspace that could serve as both Chentex, local headquarters, and a community innovation center. The garage alone is bigger than my whole shop, Jack said, tracing the plans with a mechanic's practiced eye. Plenty of room for both traditional repairs and the tech training center. And the house itself. Alexandra tried to keep her voice casual, but her heart raced. It seems spacious. Well, Jack smiled. Emma thinks the turret would make a perfect science lab. The implications hung in the morning air, sweet with possibility. Before either could speak, Emma's voice carried from upstairs. Daddy, have you seen my presentation notes? Mrs. Rivera wants me to speak at the town council meeting. The adults exchanged glances, remembering their own council presentation the previous week. The vote had been unanimous. Rezoning approved for their innovation center, with additional funding for youth education programs. Check the kitchen table, Pumpkin, Jack called back. Next to Miss Alexandra's blueprints, Emma thundered down. The stairs, still in her pajamas with Einstein-themed slippers. She stopped short at the sight of the key. Is that... Alexandra nodded. The Wilson house. If everyone agrees, it could be a new home for all of us. Emma's eyes widened. You mean what? Jack asked softly. A real family? Like in my family tree? Alexandra knelt beside her. Only if you want that, sweetheart. Your dad and I, we've been talking about time. Emma threw her arms around Alexandra's neck. I've been waiting forever, Jack laughed. Forever, huh? What happened to Gross when Tommy said we were like his parents? That was before I knew Miss Alexandra could help me build a science lab in a turret. They gathered around the blueprints, Emma pointing out where her projects could go, Jack suggesting modifications for the garage layout, Alexandra adding notes about tech integration. It felt natural, like they'd been planning this forever. Alexandra's phone buzzed. A message from her mother. Your grandfather has some furniture from the old shop. Says it belongs in your new innovation center. Past meeting future, he says. Speaking of past and future, Jack said, pulling out a small box. I found this while packing up the office. Inside lay a small wrench charm on a delicate chain. The one he'd given her at graduation before everything fell apart. You kept it? Couldn't throw away hope. He fastened it around her neck. Even when I thought I had. Emma studied the charm. It looks like the one you drew on Daddy's letter, the one you found, the one that brought us back together, Alexandra corrected, touching the charm. Sometimes life gives you a second chance to get things right. The blueprint caught a breeze from the open window, pages turning to show the community center plans. Local students would learn coding alongside car repair. Senior citizens would teach traditional crafts while learning digital skills. A true blend of old and new, just like their love. The town council wants to know our timeline, Jack mentioned, sorting through Emma's presentation notes. For the center opening, tell them 3 months. Alexandra's CEO voice was tempered with warmth. Some things are worth fast-tracking. Emma looked between them. Does this mean I can put Miss Alexandra's picture in the family tree now? In that spot I saved? Jack pulled them both close. I think it means we're all exactly where we belong. Through the kitchen window, they could see the morning sun hitting the old Wilson house on the hill. Its Victorian charm had weathered time's passage, growing more beautiful with age, like love tested by years, like wisdom born of patience, like a second chance finally taken. Home, Alexandra whispered, the key warm in her hand. Both kinds of home. The blueprints showed more than building plans now. They showed a future where innovation served community, where technology enhanced humanity, where love bridged time and tradition. A future they would build together, one carefully drawn line at a time. The wedding invitation draft sat between them on the Wilson house's newly restored porch, its simple elegance reflecting their journey. You are invited to celebrate the marriage of Alexandra Chenan Jack Harrison, where innovation meets tradition, where past embraces future, where two paths become one. Emma had insisted on adding the last line, and where a family finds its home. Too much? Alexandra asked, watching the sunset. Paint the renovation scaffolding in gold. It's perfect, Jack said, just like the messenger who inspired it. Inside, they could hear Emma giving her grandparents, all of them, a tour of her completed turret laboratory. The Chen family's investment had transformed the space into something extraordinary, while Jack's practical knowledge kept it grounded. In reality, did you ever think, Alexandra mused, that day at the gas station we'd end up here? Honestly? I was just trying not to let you see how much my hands were shaking. She laughed, the sound carrying across their expanded property. The Innovation Center was taking shape in the converted garage, its blend of classic architecture and modern technology drawing visitors from across the country. Ms. Chen, Tommy's voice carried from the workshop. The new diagnostic system is showing something weird. They found him in the training area, where local students gathered around a holographic display. The AI had identified a pattern that didn't match any known issues. "That's not a malfunction," Jack said, studying the readout. "That's an innovation. The system's learning from how we solve problems here." Alexandra's eyes lit up. "It's creating a new diagnostic category based on local expertise, exactly what we hoped would happen." Emma burst in, excitement radiating. "Daddy! Miss Alexandra! Come quick! Great-grandfather Chen is showing me pictures of his first repair shop." They followed her to the house's library, where the elderly man sat surrounded by old photographs. In his hands, he held a faded image of a young man standing proudly before a modest storefront. "1952, he said in Mandarin. "Everyone said I was foolish to refuse the factory job, but I believed in building something that would serve the community." He placed the photo beside a recent newspaper article about their innovation center. "Small town success story goes national." "Legacy," he said in English, the word careful on his tongue, "takes many forms." Mrs. Chen wiped tears as she added another photograph to the collection, Alexandra and Jack at the shop, Emma between them, all three focused on some project that had made them forget the camera. The wedding invitation on the porch seemed to echo the moment. Past and present, tradition and innovation, all flowing together into something new, yet timeless. "Oh!" Emma exclaimed, pulling something from her grandfather's photo album. "What's this?" It was a worn business card from the original Chen repair shop. On the back, in faded characters, was a simple message: "Every repair is a restoration of trust." Alexandra's grandfather smiled. "Your great-grandmother wrote that. She said technical skill was only half of our work. The other half was caring for people." Jack and Alexandra exchanged glances. Their entire partnership, both personal and professional, had been built on that same principle. "Can we use it," Emma asked, "for the Innovation Center's motto?" "In both languages," Alexandra decided, "to honor where we've come from and where we're going." As if in response, Tommy called from the workshop again. "The AI's done something amazing. You've got to see this." They all moved to the garage. 3 generations of 2 families now united, watching as their creation continued to evolve. The system had taken their small-town approach and transformed it into something that could help communities everywhere. Emma tugged at the wedding invitation. In Alexandra's hand, "Can I add one more line?" "What's that, Pumpkin?" "Where dreams don't expire." She grinned at their surprised expressions. "I found Daddy's old letter, the one about dreams just needing tune-up sometimes." Alexandra caught Jack's hand, feeling the years between that first letter and now compress into a single point of joy. The invitation would go out tomorrow, but their new life was already in full swing, a perfect integration of all they'd been and all they were becoming. Innovation and tradition, past and future. 2 paths finally merged into one, and in the fading light, Emma's turret laboratory glowed like a beacon, promising that the best innovations were yet to come. The family portrait session at the gas station had been Emma's idea. "This is where the magic started," she insisted, arranging everyone just so. The photographer caught them in a moment of genuine laughter, Jack pretending to change a tire, Alexandra in her wedding dress, kneeling beside him with a wrench, and Emma between them, holding her latest invention. Betty had closed the diner early, setting up an impromptu reception in the station's parking lot. The whole town seemed to be there, celebrating not just a wedding, but a community's transformation. "Remember that first newspaper article?" Mike asked, showing newer employees the framed copy on their mobile display. "Look at us now." The Innovation Center's success had sparked a renaissance in their small town. Young people were returning home, bringing skills and dreams that blended perfectly with local wisdom. Emma's youth engineering program had spread to schools across the state. "Your father would be proud." Mrs. Chen told Jack, watching Alexandra teach a group of children about electric vehicle charging. He saw something in Alexandra that we missed, the ability to bridge worlds. Jack smiled, remembering his father's quiet support all those years ago. He always said the best mechanics could fix more than just engines. The gas station's owner had retired, but insisted they use the space for photos. "This place needed one more love story," he said, "before I turn it into the town's first green charging station." Emma's voice carried across the lot. "Great-grandfather Chen, come see what Tommy and I designed." The elderly man, now a regular fixture at their innovation center, beamed at the children's latest creation, a solar-powered diagnostic tool that combined classic mechanical principles with cutting-edge technology. "The future," he said in his improving English, "has good hands." Alexandra joined Jack, her wedding dress slightly smudged with motor oil, perfectly fitting for their unconventional celebration. She wore her mother's traditional jewelry, alongside the wrench charm that had waited 15 years to come home. "Mrs. Rivera says they're using our program as a case study," she told him. "How technology can strengthen communities instead of replacing traditions." "Speaking of traditions," Jack nodded toward Emma, who was gathering everyone for another photo, this time at the exact spot where they'd reconnected over a flat tire. "Okay, everyone," Emma directed. "This one's for the Innovation Center's wall. Show us your best dreams don't expire faces." The phrase had become their motto, appearing on everything from workshop manuals to coding tutorials. A reminder that sometimes the best futures need time to find their moment. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the transformed gas station lot, Betty brought out a surprise. A cake decorated with tiny wrenches and computer chips made of frosting, for the couple who proved that love, like good engineering, just needs the right combination of parts, she announced. The gathering had turned into something more than a wedding reception. It was a celebration of community, of dreams restored, of futures built on foundations of past wisdom. Alexandra's grandfather raised his glass. "In our family's first shop," he said, his voice carrying years of understanding, "we had a saying, every repair is a restoration of trust. Today we celebrate more than a marriage. We celebrate the repair of time itself." Emma, ever practical, tugged at both their hands. "Does this mean I can finally stop calling you Miss Alexandra?" Laughter rippled through the crowd. Alexandra knelt to eye level with the girl who had helped bridge their worlds. "What would you like to call me?" Emma's answer was a fierce hug, worth more than any words. The photographer captured that moment too, 3 people becoming a family, surrounded by a community that had helped make it possible. In the background, the gas station's old sign caught the day's last light, while the new charging stations gleamed with promise. Later, as stars appeared above their small town, Jack and Alexandra stood where they'd first reunited. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what? For changing that tire, for giving our dreams a tune-up, for showing me that sometimes the longest paths lead exactly where you're meant to be." Their kiss was captured by Emma's camera, her delighted giggle providing the perfect soundtrack to a love story 15 years in the making. Above them, the evening's first star seemed to wink. At second chances, at dreams restored, at futures built on foundations of past wisdom and present courage, at a small town's greatest love story, finally finding its happily ever after.